Indian swimmer Maana Patel's participation in the Tokyo Olympics has now been confirmed, and she's the first Indian female swimmer ever to qualify for the Olympics. Maana herself is joining us on the broadcast. It's great to have you with us, Maana. You've seen the high and lows of the sports in a short span of time, be it dealing with injuries or even with the pandemic. Tell us about your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot to me. And my journey has been a roller coaster ride, I can say. Of course, there's a lot more to see, but I think I've seen the highs and lows of being an athlete, from winning medals and then getting injured, from getting disqualified, mostly every possible thing. But I started swimming professionally at the age of 10. And I got my first national medal at 11, and then I became the fastest female backstroker of India at 13 in the 50, 100 and 200 meters backstroke. And so I was very hopeful to qualify for the 2016 Olympics as well, but sadly that couldn't happen. And in 2017, I was injured. My left shoulder had a labrum tear. So the whole year I withdrew from all my events, and I was only focusing on getting better and fitter. So, of course, it was very frustrating mentally to stay away from this sport. And then when I finally kind of recovered from the injury, I had to start again from zero. So that was a big, big challenge for me. Being so young, I was just 17 when I was injured, so I didn't really know how to handle. But again, then 2019 was pretty decent, but I got disqualified in 100 backstroke, the same event that I'll be racing in the Olympics. So again, that was a big setback. But then the lockdown happened, but I used that period to mentally and physically recover, and here I am now.
It's a great journey because, Maana, you took it in your stride to make a brilliant comeback in the 100-meter backstroke this year, also setting off a national record. But you have also sealed an Olympic berth now. How does that feel?
That's been my lifelong dream, you can say. Ever since I started swimming, I've always wanted to represent my country at the Olympics and win medals, and that's always been my dream. So finally, that's coming true, and I'm so honored and humbled to represent India. It gives me goosebumps every time I see the Indian flag, every time I hear the anthem, and I still believe that it's only the beginning and many more games to go.
Absolutely, because were there any anxious moments, waiting to see if you would make it through the universality places quota, something that, you had finally cleared it? I mean, were there any anxious moments before, your name was announced?
So there were two other females who were competing with me for the universality spot. So that works on the FINA points. So everyone would swim a race, and then based on the times that they clocked, you get points. And the female with the highest point seals the universality spot. And of course, but I was anxious, I was nervous, but I only focused on my race, and I had my race all planned out in my head. I knew what time I had to clock to get the highest points, and it was very nerve-wracking, but I was confident that I would clock that time, because I knew I had done the work and I was feeling good in the water. And also before jumping in the water, before starting my race, I just looked at the scoreboard, the display board where the times are shown after you finish the race. I just looked at my lane number there, and I imagined the time on the board that I have to clock this time. And it did happen. That did work for me.
It came true, didn't it? Because you've come a long way from a low phase, as you mentioned in your career, from 2017. But you have set off on national records, whether it comes to 50 meters, 100 meters, even 200 meters backstroke. And you're still holding all of these three records. So how does that feel, especially now you'll be leaving for Tokyo very soon?
I'm only focusing on my training. I'm very anxious again one more time, because I really want to break my best in like I really want to get a personal best time. I really want to put up a good show at the Olympics too. So that's all. I'm figuring out my training, how it's gonna be. So that's all I'm thinking of right now.
Acha, Mana, also tell us about the pandemic and the lockdown, because it has been difficult for all of us, but especially for you athletes. How difficult has it been for
Yeah.
you to stay away from the water? Because pools were shut during the lockdown and it left many of the swimmers in a lurch. How did you manage?
In 2019, 30th December, I had a fall in the gym and I injured my ankle. Yeah, the injury went on for quite some time, but then the lockdown was announced. So I think it was a blessing in disguise for me because my body needed that rest. It needed that time to recover. So the first 2 months were amazing. I did all my rehab by myself at home, and my ankle, I repaired my ankle again. Yeah, but then later on the lockdown was just getting extended, so it was very, very annoying. After a point, doing the home workouts was even boring. But I think swimming was the most affected sports of all, because this is what I believe. I mean, some sports you can still imitate something, you can do something at home that replicates your sport, but for us swimmers, staying away from the water, like, that was the hardest thing. And there's nothing else that you can do, being a swimmer. What more can you do sitting at home apart from staying fit? And so the only thing that I focused on was keeping myself fit, keeping my endurance, my aerobic levels up, and eating clean, because I didn't really want to put on extra weight. But yeah, I did take up few other activities, to just keep sane. Like, I started painting, and I started feeding all the stray dogs. I fostered a few dogs at my place. So I started doing that, and yeah, that's how my lockdown went. Yeah.
So what after Olympics? Have you really thought about that? Because there is a 2023 season which also will be very important for you as far as Commonwealth Games and the Asian Games is concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, I think after Olympics, my next goal will be Asian Games next year. So I really want to be on the podium next year for the Asian Games. So that's what the goal is. And I'm going to, like, after a small break, I'm immediately going to start working for it.
Well, Mana, it's great to have you with us. The country is already very, very proud of you, and I'm sure you're going to shine at the Tokyo Olympics. All the very best.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much.